Good evening, my friends, and welcome back to the next episode of Haven Moon. Quick reminder of where we got up to. We uncovered the vault last time out, got the coordinates for the cannon, went and visited that, and we have got that powered up. Now we believe we have the key to be able to take the teleporter and all the gold with us elsewhere. So let's have a quick reminder as to what our notebook says there. Now, decided to find a way. The invention of the Aetions helped solve the problem. They work the same way as teleporters, but their orientation mechanism is embedded and stored in an activation key, which we have. They require more power to operate. The power supplied by the teleporter circuit is insufficient for an Aetion, so the electric cannon must be used to send the required additional power. Okay. What does that mean for us? What does that mean for us? It means, I think, that we need to take... Now, do we have to do this with maths? Maybe. I don't know. But we've got to take... There's no coordinates on this, is there? No. So I think we have to point the cannon at the house. We need to point the cannon at the house. Now, there's a few different ways that this could work. There's a few different ways this could work. This is already pointed at the house. Now look. We already know that this map is utter nonsense and not to scale, right? Because the angles is all wrong. We know the bearing that will take us from Telescope Island to the house and Telescope Island to the cannon, right? So it's only the angle that's the problem. We should be able to work out the third bearing. Yeah? In fact, let's do it now. Right. Now, I'm going to be really embarrassed if this, once again, is not how you're supposed to solve this problem. But we know from here the cannon is at 317. 317. So if we draw beep 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 beep, right, that angle there. Yeah, if this is 317, this is going to be 33. 33 degrees there. The house is 28 degrees. Yeah. So do. That angle there is 28. Okay. Now, what does that mean in terms of... So we would need to make an assumption about the angle, right, as well, because the only way we have these distances is the angle, or we could assume that the angle and the distances have a little bit of a funny relationship, and the map actually is to scale, and that this is 1, 2, 3 long here, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 long here. Yeah. In which case, we should be able to work this out. Can I do this just with a more sensibly sized thing? Yeah. Okay. So it's 28 and 33. So that's 28 That's 33. Yeah. That is definitely correct. Yeah. 33 on this is 20. No, 43. 43. Oh, that would have been awkward. 43. Huh. My button clicking is kind of getting a little bit funky. Okay, so that's 43 and 28. And if that's 3 long, and this one down up here is 6 long, then, well, can we say something about that angle? What can we say about that angle? Well, we can make a right angle triangle here, and then we'll know this angle. We can make a right angle triangle here, we know this angle. Can we use cosine rule? Yeah? I need to look up what cosine rule is. Hang on. Go on, give me cosine rule. Okay. Okay, so cosine rule is C is the square root of a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cos theta. Yeah. Where you've got a triangle where you've got where you know theta and you're trying to work out the opposite side length, and then you've got well, actually a and b can be either way around on here. Yeah, so a will equal 3, b equals 6. Yeah, we're going to work out the length c with this theta. Yeah, okay, we can do that. We can do that. Well, I'll plug it into my calculator quick. And what you have there is you have 60, 71. So we'll do cos of 71 times by 2 times 3 times 6. Right. Minus that. And then plus 9 and then plus 36. And c... oh, and then square root that, of course. And then what we get is we get that c equals 5.7688, which roughly speaking means it's going to be around about the same as the house pitch, probably. Maybe, but the house pitch is a higher angle than the cannon pitch, which implies the cannon's further away, but unclear. Well, what's the bearing going to be? Okay, well, now we have sine rule, and sine rule is sine theta over A equals sine theta over B, is it? What's sine rule? No, sine theta over sine gamma is, B sine is A. Right, no, makes sense if you do it with alphas and betas, right? You draw a triangle, you got alpha here, beta here, A here, B here. It's the length of the opposite sides, yeah? Sine alpha over sine beta times b equals a. Yeah? Well, what we're trying to find is we'll make that one like beta, so it's 6. So we need to rearrange this, yeah? So we need, we'll make this angle here, we're going to make this alpha, yeah? So we'll do sine alpha equals... Oh, I'm literally just rearranging it to be exactly the same thing. Is a sine beta over b, right? So that's fine. Okay. So what you've got is you've got sine of 71. Sine of 71 over 5.76. 88 times by, and your A is 6. So your angle is going to be well shallow, actually. So basically you want sine of 71 divided by answer, right? And you're going to times that by 6. And then we're going to inverse sine that. Inverse sine of that. 79.54. $79.55. So that means actually that this thing, if this angle is like 79, I don't know, yeah, I mean, I guess it might be. It's probably not far off that. Okay. It still needs to be a bearing from north, though, because that gives you that angle there. I'm assuming when you hit up 0, it's still going to be pointing directly upwards. So what we have is if that's 43, from that angle there, this is going to be 47. Yeah. Which makes this 43. Yeah. So what you have is 43. Wait, hang on. Yeah. 79.55. So you've got 180 minus 43 minus 79.55. Right, what you have is you have 57. So we think maybe the answer is a bearing of 57. That is very sketchy. That is very sketchy logic. The other option would be literally to just put the house bearing back in, of course. The part of the problem is that every time we want to try a new one, we're going to need to go all the way back to the cannon and then all the way back to the house. Which is a lot of travel time. So you're definitely not supposed to be brute forcing this. It is entirely possible that I have made some fundamental mistakes with... Entirely possible that we have some fundamental mistakes with my understanding of how this teleporter bouncing off the atmosphere is supposed to work. Nope, want the next one up. Because even though we've done that very accurately in some ways, it's also still very rough in others. Like the fact that it gives you, like, you know, whatever, like, yeah. So 57 is what we're thinking here. Well, first thing I want to check is, if I put 0 into this, does it point north? Oh, the whole thing's moving. Oh. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's weird, because the sea looks still, doesn't it? Then, by comparison. Yeah, this does look like it's ending up pointing north, doesn't it? It's going to be along these towers as north. Huh. No? Well, that's weird. What is that pointing at? Hang on, hang on. So, this map definitely seems to indicate that north is along the line of the array here. We're sort of pointing out this way currently. So how does that work? The implication is definitely that Cannon Island is further away than the other islands, right? Because you can't see any of the beacons from the other islands. So maybe you are supposed to come to the conclusion that this map is inaccurate. Right? And what actually matters is not the map. What actually matters is the angles. So let's do a different calculation, right? We've got the home base here, and we know the angle. We know the angles to our other stuff, yeah? 28, and the pitch is 55. Whoops, clicked into the wrong window. 28 and 55. Boop. Boop. Right. 28. And, we'll give alpha the symbol for the pitch. The cannon is 317.26, so that's 43.26. Okay. So if my presumption of how this works is correct, then if we take Cannon Island, it's going to bounce off the atmosphere and come back down, yeah, and our angle here is 26, right, and we want to know our overall distance, yeah. Hang on a minute. Wait, we don't know that unless we know the height. Hang on, how do we get the height previously? Is that where we went wrong? Oh, because we measured the distance off the map. Yeah, well, if we're going to say the map's not to scale, then we can't do that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's no good, is it? Yeah, if you're going to say the map's not to scale, then that really doesn't work. But if the map's not to scale, how can this and this be different distances from each other? Like, the map clearly has to be not to scale. Ugh, maybe this is just genuinely not the way you're supposed to be working this. Maybe this is not the way you're supposed to be trying to work this out. It does seem a bit of a stretch that you have to do this to work this out. Maybe there's a clue somewhere that I've missed. Well, we could try a really obvious thing to do, which is to literally just point this back at the base. Yeah? If we literally just try and point this back at the base, the cannon is 317.26. Yeah? Which means it's 43 off north. So what we need to do is put it 43 off south. So what is that? 317... it's 317 minus 180. Yeah? Yeah, 137. So there's a quick check. Add 43 to that. Yeah, that's 180. So 137... If we do 137.26... Okay. This points the cannon at the teleporter. I'll wait for it to finish its animation just in case, because I don't really know where like the loading screens are and stuff in this. But that's pointing the cannon back at the teleporter at the base. I wonder if the teleporter at the base can then ferry the energy along to the teleporter at the house? Maybe. Like... On the other hand, even if we don't know the height of the atmosphere, actually, the X's will cancel. Oh, so I think you could do it. It doesn't feel like the way it's intending you to do it. But you know what? Like, I'd give massive respect if it was. Right. So, point back to the house. So I can't fiddle with that. Fine. So this will take us back to the house. I'm fairly sure the cannon's going to have to point directly here, though, isn't it? So... so how are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? Oh, just as a quick check. It's not the fact we have the door open, is it? No. Yes, I think we need the cannon pointing directly here. Okay. More maths. Maybe we don't need less maths. Maybe we need more maths. Here we go. We're going to call the height y. Okay. And that angle is 26. And what we get, because we can assume the atmosphere is the same height everywhere. So if we say that distance is x, then it's going to be tan 26 equals y over x. Let's call it y over c, because that's canon. And then we can make, well, tan 55 must equal y over c. It's going to equal y over h for house. And we also have the lab as well. 67. Right? Tan of 67 equals y over L. Now I wonder... yeah, well, you can't get any of the teleporters to point to any of the other... You can't get any of the teleporters to point to any of the other locations. It's super weird as well, because the cable car has enough power to be able to get to the cannon, but doesn't have enough power to get to the house, which would imply the cannon's a bit closer, but you can't see the beacon. Like, I don't know, like I know the weather's bad and whatever, but you can't see the weather from where you are at the base. We know that the lab ends up here. Okay. And house is sort of over here. And what you want, we want a bearing and a pitch from the cannon to the house. Well, I mean, we can put limits on it, right? Because certainly it has to be greater than... It's got to be definitely greater than 28, right? Because otherwise it would diverge. So it's definitely got to be greater than 28. Yeah. This is, of course, also the fact that, like, when you put 0 into that cannon, it doesn't even seem to point north, if you can trust the orientation of north on the maps. Right? Because it's physically off in the wrong direction. Yeah, see, this is the same orientation as the big map. It's the same orientation as the big map, and the implication would be that this is north. Although, fun fact about the word orientation, right? Because you might notice that the word orientation etymologically is very similar to the word orient, as in Asia, and that's because that's how maps used to be oriented. They used to be arranged so that east was at the top of the map. So there we go. There's a fun fact for you, and that is why it's called orientation. You are putting the orient at the top of the map. Kind of weird how that works. I'm strongly suspecting this is the final puzzle of the game now. But yeah. What's the angle? It's got to be bigger than 28. It doesn't have to even be smaller than 90 degrees, to be honest, because if Cannon Island is genuinely further away than House Island, you know, it could be up here, and then it's greater than 90 degrees. Yeah, so that's the house there. That's laboratory. And then somewhere in this direction, although we can't even see it. If we can't see it, it must be further away. This is tough, because I feel like we are... Do you know what? We've never actually used the outside of this building for any puzzles. But yeah, I kind of feel like we're dealing with contradictory information. And my brain is really struggling to understand how to process it. Because it's like... Yeah, the orientation of the cannon, when you set its bearing to 0, not lining up with the map, is like, is that another layer to the puzzle? You know? The fact that the angle, the pitch angle, which should imply like a distance that you're going to travel if it's bouncing around in the atmosphere, doesn't seem to mean that. The fact that Cannon Island is a shallower angle means that Cannon Island must be further away, because it will bounce off the atmosphere later, which is corroborated by the fact that you can't see the beacon. But the map that's not what the map shows. And the map has been perfectly accurate in terms of the fact that Laboratory Island is directly north and House Island is closer to Laboratory Island than it is to Telescope Island, and so forth. It would be super unsatisfying to get a hint for the final puzzle of the game. I'm just really hoping that we've missed a clue somewhere. Like, there's far too large a solid angle to possibly try brute forcing it. We've currently got it pointing so that it's pointing back here. Like, at the very least, that does put an upper bound on it. Right? At the very least, that does put an upper bound on it. We're going to use theta. The upper bound is going back this way, which is your 180 minus 43, right? 137. Because House Island, we know, is that way. It's not behind us. So House Island must be between this blue vector here and this vector here. Can we go to the laboratory and have a look? Okay, that's south. Yeah. Again, I don't see any beacons in this direction. Interesting, because that is... I wonder if we could get the relative position of the lab compared to... Now, this is another ethosphere, yeah? So I wonder where this one goes. And I wonder if... Thinking out loud here, what do you reckon this one is hard-coded to swap with? If this one's hard-coded to swap with the Vault, we could ride this to swap with the Vault, come back, and then ride the Vault. Maybe. It's 3 keys. Now, we've already looked plenty around this library. Discovered a new island during a boat trip across the stormy zone nearby the base island. Incessant rain and storms, but I was able to build a lightning research facility. The fact he says it's nearby, right? And the fact that the cable car can reach it says it must be close. So maybe I've made a fundamental misunderstanding about what the pitch angle is actually doing. This cannon fires an energy beam directed to a reception antenna on Menra. Conception of this cannon was not an easy task. During the test, the beam missed its target more than once, causing major damage on the surrounding area. Some condensers get damaged regularly, producing an erratic current that causes a circuit to break. The final result exceeds my expectations. Discovered a way to circulate matter in an energy beam, able to work out a teleporter network, instant travel from one island to another. Fine. Here's how the teleporters work. Through an energy beam, all matter contained in a sphere instantly swap with the matter contained in another distant sphere. The beam is positioned using concentrators that must be oriented towards each other, taking into consideration the bounces of the beam in the magnetosphere. To find good coordinates, I added a beam optimal path detection system to the telescope. It indicates which coordinates to use. Just aim the telescopes at the destination's teleporter and search for its emitted signal. Teleportation worked really well for the Cannon Island and the house, but the storms interfere with the Cannon Island telescope's signal, so I've had to manually calculate its coordinates. Sometimes a very loud sound coming from the ocean could be heard, followed by a period of complete calm and stillness. Yeah. Oh dear. My best thinking is that the fact that this exists, this kind of plinth exists on all of the islands, right? So I'm sensing we probably have to do a bit of an abduction and get these spheres swapped. So but there is a plinth here, but we can't activate it. And the only one that we know for sure how to point the gun to is this base. But we don't have an Aetion here, right? This thing. So is there a way? Could we point the cannon towards the lab rather than pointing the cannon towards the house? If we say, well, can you point to the lab instead? Does that give us anything? Does it give us anything in terms of distance? Does the cable car use a particular amount of power based on the distance it has to go? Where even is the cable car? Cable car's at the cannon at the moment, is it? Yeah. This is a tricky puzzle. This is a tricky puzzle. I genuinely thought going into this episode that this was going to be the last episode of the playthrough, but I do not think that's the case. So, what things do we want to check? Okay. I think that the fact that the lab has an Atheon in it is a pretty good indication that we want to point the cannon towards the lab, and using the key in the lab is going to maybe swap it for the vault. And then we can use the key in the vault to then leave. Maybe. Can we use the power that's consumed by the cable car to work out what the lengths of the three sides of the triangle are? Can that be done? Maybe. We've got a couple of avenues to look at, but yeah, we're getting stuck pretty quickly. This is a hard puzzle. This is a hard puzzle. For now, though, that's going to wrap us up for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Haven Moon. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I will see you next time. Bye for now.